What if I told you that everything you think you know about intelligence is wrong? We have this picture in our minds, a picture painted by movies, a picture painted by television. It's the fast-talking genius who solves a complex equation in seconds. It's the debater who always has the perfect, crushing comeback. We imagine intelligence as loud. We imagine it as flashy. We imagine it as impossible to miss. It's the person in the room who commands all the attention. They seem to have an answer for everything, their confidence radiating outward. We are taught to look for the loudest voice in the room and assume it is the smartest. But this idea, this myth of loud intelligence, is just that, a myth. True intelligence often doesn't need to announce itself. It's quieter, more subtle. It's not about having all the answers. It's about asking the right questions. It isn't found in the person who speaks the most. Perhaps it's in the one who listens most intently. This quiet intelligence is a different kind of power. It's the ability to see things that others miss. It's the ability to connect dots that seem unrelated. It's the ability to understand the world on a deeper, more nuanced level. It thrives not in the spotlight, but in the calm, observant spaces in between. The smartest people are often the ones you would least expect. They are not trying to prove anything to anyone. Over my years of writing about human behavior, I've learned to spot this pattern. The most brilliant minds I've encountered rarely fit the stereotype. They aren't the ones dominating conversations. They aren't the ones showing off their knowledge. Instead, they possess a quiet confidence, a stillness. They are comfortable with not knowing. Their curiosity is far more powerful than their need to be right. This realization changes how you see the world. It makes you look past the noise and listen for the whispers of true insight. It's a hidden world of intelligence that operates just beneath the surface of our everyday interactions. In this journey together, we are going to uncover that hidden world. We will explore the 7 psychological signs of highly intelligent people. These are not the loud, obvious traits everyone looks for. These are the quiet habits, the subtle behaviors that reveal a truly remarkable mind at work. As we go through them, you might start to see yourself or people you know in a completely new light. Stick with me until the very end. The last sign is the most surprising of all. It's the one that truly turns our idea of genius on its head. Are you ready to see what's behind the curtain? I remember meeting a man named Arthur once. It was at a small local community meeting about a new park design. The room was filled with strong opinions, architects with grand visions, city planners arguing budgets, passionate residents voicing concerns, and in the corner, there was Arthur. He was a retired librarian, a small quiet man, in a simple cardigan. For the first hour, he didn't say a single word. He just listened, occasionally jotting something down in a small notebook. He seemed almost invisible among the loud, confident voices. My initial impression, a passive observer. Then, when the discussion stalled, Arthur quietly raised his hand. All eyes turned to him, some impatient. He didn't stand up. He didn't raise his voice. He simply began to speak, softly but clearly. He pointed out a detail everyone had missed, a small observation about the natural drainage of the land, something he'd noticed on his daily walks. He connected that to an 18th century map he'd seen in the library archives. He suggested a tiny shift in the park layout that solved the drainage and saved money. The room fell silent. The complex problem suddenly seemed simple. Arthur wasn't trying to be the smartest person in the room. He wasn't trying to win an argument. He was sharing a pattern he had observed. He had listened. He had thought. He had connected disparate pieces of information no one else had. He was the quietest person there, yet he held the key. That experience stuck with me. Intelligence doesn't always wear a suit or carry a briefcase. Sometimes it wears a cardigan and carries a small notebook. Arthur embodied the quiet habits we're about to explore. His story is the perfect entry point. We're going to break down 7 psychological signs people like Arthur display. Markers of deep, reflective intelligence often unnoticed. As we walk through each one, think about your life. Do you see these habits in yourself? Do you see them in others? To start, let's make this interactive. If you feel a connection, comment SMART below. Let's see how many of us are part of this quiet club. Now let's begin with the first sign. The first and most fundamental sign of quiet intelligence is a deep and genuine curiosity. This isn't just a passing interest in things. It's a fundamental state of being. Highly intelligent people are not afraid to say, "I don't know." In fact, they often embrace it. For them, not knowing is not a failure or a weakness. It is an opportunity. It is the starting point for discovery. In a world that rewards definitive answers and unwavering confidence, they find more value in the question. They would rather understand something deeply than simply appear to be correct. This is a subtle but profound shift in mindset. Think about the typical dynamic in a meeting or a classroom. Often the goal is to show what you know. People compete to have the right answer first. The quiet genius, however, operates differently. They are more likely to be the person asking a follow-up question. They might say, "That's interesting. Can you explain why that works?" They might say, "What if we looked at it from this angle?" Their desire to learn outweighs their desire to impress. This habit of prioritizing curiosity over certainty means they are constantly expanding their mental models of the world, while others might remain stuck in what they already believe to be true. This habit stems from an intellectual humility. It's the recognition that the world is infinitely complex. No single person can have all the answers. The loudest voices often belong to those who are most certain. But certainty can be a trap. It can close your mind to new information and alternative perspectives. The truly intelligent person understands this danger. They remain open. They remain flexible. They are always ready to update their beliefs in the face of new evidence. They are comfortable living in the gray areas, knowing that true understanding is a process, not a destination. They are explorers in a vast landscape of knowledge. So, the first sign to look for is not someone who has an answer for everything. It's the person who asks the best questions. The one who is genuinely intrigued by what others have to say, not just waiting for their turn to speak. They listen with the intent to understand, not just to reply. This quiet curiosity is the engine of their intelligence. It fuels their learning. It broadens their perspective, and ultimately allows them to see the world with a clarity that certainty can never provide. It is the silent, powerful force that drives them forward on a never-ending quest for knowledge. Let me tell you about a small incident I observed at a dinner party a few years ago. The host was proudly showing off a new, complex-looking coffee machine he had just imported. He gave a quick, confident explanation of how it worked, focusing on its impressive features. Most guests nodded along.
"What does that lever do? Why is the water heated in 2 separate chambers?"
Her questions weren't challenging. They were pure curiosity. She wasn't trying to catch the host out. The host began to falter. He didn't know the answers to the detailed questions. He'd learned just enough to operate and show it off. Clara wasn't satisfied with the surface-level explanation. She gently pulled out the user manual. For the next 10 minutes, she quietly flipped through diagrams, brow furrowed in concentration. She wasn't being antisocial. She was on a mission.
A small personal mission, to understand how this intricate machine ticked. She was completely absorbed, driven to deconstruct the process and grasp the underlying mechanics. Eventually she looked up and smiled. "Ah, I see," she said softly. "It uses a heat exchanger to keep brewing temperature stable while steaming milk. That's clever."
She had connected the dots. She'd taken a moment to go deeper to satisfy her curiosity, and in doing so understood the machine better than its owner. No one else noticed. No announcement. A quiet, personal victory of understanding. Section 3, Sign 2, Connecting the Unseen Dots. This leads us directly to our second sign, an advanced ability for pattern recognition. If curiosity is the engine that gathers the fuel, the information, then pattern recognition is the ability to ignite that fuel into something meaningful. Highly intelligent people have a remarkable talent for seeing connections that others miss.
They might listen to several different points being made, and then say something like, "It seems like the issue you're all describing is not really about the budget, but about a lack of clear communication." They identify the root theme, the common thread running through disparate complaints.
They are constantly, and often subconsciously, running a background process that asks, Where have I seen this before? Or, what does this remind me of? They aren't pulling them from thin air. They are simply making a connection across different fields of knowledge that no one else had thought to bridge. Section 1. Sign 3. The quiet of emotional subtlety. Now we arrive at our third sign, and it's one that moves from the purely cognitive into the realm of the emotional. Quiet intelligence often manifests as emotional subtlety. Highly intelligent people often process emotions with the same depth they apply to ideas. They don't just feel an emotion, they observe it, understand its source, and choose how to respond to it. When you are talking to them, you get the sense that they are truly hearing you. They are not just waiting for a gap in the conversation to insert their own story or opinion. They are absorbing your words, your tone, and your body language. In a heated argument, while others are reacting with anger and defensiveness, the quietly intelligent person might be the one to remain calm. They are able to step back from the immediate emotional trigger and analyze the situation. They ask themselves, why is this person so upset? What is the real issue here? This internal analysis allows them to respond to the root cause of the conflict, rather than just reacting to the surface-level anger. They de-escalate situations not by force, but by understanding. This brings us to our fourth sign, closely linked to emotional calm, a high tolerance for ambiguity. Most people feel a deep discomfort with uncertainty. We crave clear answers, definite plans, predictable outcomes. This need for certainty can make us rush to judgment. Highly intelligent people often relate to the unknown differently. They are comfortable living in the gray. They can hold contradictory ideas at once, without needing to immediately choose. A scientist working on a new theory, an entrepreneur creating a new market, an artist working on a masterpiece. All must operate in prolonged uncertainty. You will notice they often speak with a certain provisional quality. Maybe it seems like one possibility is, I wonder if. This habit of thinking in possibilities rather than certainties is a powerful tool for collaboration and problem solving. Section 1. Sign 5. The economics of social energy. Let's dive into our fifth sign, which might explain why the most intelligent people you know aren't always the life of the party. This sign is the practice of selective social energy. For many quietly intelligent people, social interaction isn't an endless resource. It's a form of energy to be spent wisely. They might be silent for most of a meeting, simply observing and processing. Then, when the conversation hits a critical juncture or a complex point, they will suddenly engage with a focused, insightful question or comment. This contribution often changes the direction of the discussion. Once they have made their point, they might retreat back into quiet observation.
When asked a complex question, they are comfortable taking a moment to think before they speak. This pause is not a sign of confusion or a lack of knowledge. It is the visible evidence of a deep and active mind at work, a mind that values a correct, well-reasoned answer over a fast one.
Section 3, Sign 6. Thinking about your thinking. This brings us to our sixth, and perhaps most internally focused, sign, the practice of metacognition. Metacognition is the ability to think about your own thinking. It's the process of stepping outside of your own mind and observing your mental and emotional processes from a distance. After a failed project, someone practicing metacognition would go several layers deeper. They would ask themselves, what was my thought process that led to that decision? Was I relying on a faulty assumption? Did I let confirmation bias cause me to ignore warning signs? How can I improve my thinking process next time? The best athletes, musicians, chess players, all have it. They constantly analyze their own performance, looking for tiny flaws in their technique and tiny flaws in their strategy. They have an inner coach that is always running, providing feedback and suggesting adjustments. Section 1. Sign 7, the productive power of solitude. We have arrived at our final and most surprising sign. In a world that celebrates collaboration, teamwork, and constant connectivity, the seventh sign of a highly intelligent person is their comfort with, and even need for, solitude. They don't see solitude as an empty space to be filled. but as a productive environment for their mind to do its best work. They might be the coworker who closes their office door for a few hours, the friend who turns off their phone for an entire afternoon, or the family member who goes for long walks by themselves. It's in the quiet moments alone that they can follow a thread of curiosity down a rabbit hole without interruption. It's where they can lay out all the disparate dots of information they've collected and quietly search for the hidden patterns. It's where they can engage in metacognition. This deliberate use of solitude enables a state that psychologists call deep focus. It is a state of complete immersion where the outside world seems to fade away. It's a cognitive flow state, the mind working at absolute peak capacity. Now that we have unveiled all 7 signs, let's take a step back and see how they all fit together. They form a cohesive, interconnected system, a reinforcing loop that generates deep understanding. It's not just curiosity. Curiosity fuels pattern recognition, enabled by tolerance for ambiguity, refined by metacognition during deep focus. These 7 signs together paint a new portrait of genius. It's not a portrait of a flashy performer, but of a quiet architect. The most important takeaway is this: intelligence is not a fixed, monolithic trait that you either have or you don't. It is a set of habits, a way of engaging with the world that can be noticed, understood, and cultivated. If you related to at least one of these quiet habits, I want you to do something right now. Go to the comments and write the word SMART. It's a small act of recognition for the quiet thinker in you. For those of you who commented, I also want you to add which sign stood out to you the most. I will be going through and replying to as many of the early comments as I can. If you found this exploration valuable and want to continue diving deep into psychology, human behavior, and building a more thoughtful mindset, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Remember the power of the unseen, the value of the unsaid, and the wisdom in the pause. Never stop being curious.